It's another edition of Time About the Movies. A day late and a dollar short. I know I was supposed to put it up yesterday, but other things got in the way, and I obviously it was a little bit too late for me to put this episode up here. So I'm doing it tonight. Not that it's really going to matter for you people watching down the road chronologically, but just wanted to let you know, for those of you who were watching around the time I was recording this, that was why there was not an episode yesterday. I just completely forgot to do one. But it is August 15th, 2003. We've got 5 movies to look at today, so we have a lot to get to here. I've already wasted your time, so let's not waste any more and just get right to it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, of course, the crossover we've been waiting for 16 years at that point, between Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. This is Freddy versus Jason. I'm betting on a draw because technically there's no real winner in this, but I mean, but you do get to see Freddy and Jason beat the crap out of each other at some point during the movie, but of course this was a film that was in development for a long period of time. In fact, 1987, this was supposed to be, the original plan was for there to be a Friday the 13th movie with Freddy Krueger crossing over. I think it was back in 87, and New Line and Paramount really wanted to make one, but they couldn't get to an agreement made, and essentially the whole idea fell apart shortly afterward. But eventually came back around when New Line had picked up Friday the 13th from Paramount, and so they spent a number of years hyping this up, and of course, in Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday, they set it up for, the Freddy glove to grab the Jason mask, assuming that, yes, this was actually going to happen. They've been trying to do it for a number of years, and it was mostly script problems all the way through, but then we finally get it done here in 2003 with this film in particular. And you have Freddy and Jason. Freddy is weakened. Freddy, once again played by Robert Englund, by the way, and forgotten because the citizens of his hometown Springwood have defeated him by using medications that repossess dreams. And Freddy awakens Jason, disguising himself, of all things, as his mother, to stir up fear and grow his powers so he may return and kill again. But Jason turns out to be not as easily controlled as Freddy initially thought, and the two supernatural mass murderers come into conflict, and at some point they will beat the crap out of each other. And when they do, it's pretty freaking awesome. But again, it's very few and far between. And the film itself as a whole does work for what they're trying to accomplish here. If you're just going in there for Freddy and Jason beating each other up, they will do it eventually, but you'll have to wait for it to happen. But the stuff that goes on in between is a mix of very funny stuff and stuff we've seen done over and over again. Like, there's a surprisingly amount of good comedy in this. Like, when Freddy's coming back and he's trying to kill people, and, like, there's this one scene where one of the guys is, like, he sees Freddy, and Freddy turns into a shadow creature, and, like, he's trying to attack him. And, like, the guy's just around here, just, like, moving around because his power is not fully... Freddy's power isn't fully intact, and the guy's just like, I'm okay, bye, and just walks away. And then Freddy's just like, not strong enough yet. And then it doesn't matter because later on down the road, Jason eventually kills him. Not but a few minutes later, honestly. But yeah, most of the main characters in here are not that great. The only ones I really do remember, honestly, are, Monica Kino and also Jason Ritter, of course, Dipper from Gravity Falls. You also have Kelly Rowland in here, playing the token black girl in this. Chris Marquette, Lachlan Monroe. There are decent people involved in the cast here, but they're just kind of stock characters in general here. They try to have the storyline where they make it seem like they give Monica Kino's character a big role in here because, Freddy we find out later on that Freddy's the one that actually killed her. I think killed her mother. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was his mother, and they kind of set it up as like this is supposed to be this big twist here. Like this is supposed to be something for Kino's character to get revenge off of. But I mean, it really didn't feel necessary to put in there. Even the stuff when, yeah, it's cool to see Freddy and Jason fighting, but they also flash back to, they also try to add in the elements that they had from the last Friday the 13th movie, Jason Takes Manhattan. Okay, maybe not the second to last, the third to last Jason movie, because we had Jason Goes to Hell and then Jason X. But, you know, in Jason Takes Manhattan, of course, they set it up that they made it assume is like they beat Jason, and all of a sudden he just reverts back to being a kid again, and it's just like they bring that back in here kind of pointlessly, honestly. It doesn't really add into anything per se in terms of the overall storyline. The story is all over the place. Like it really is a mixed bag in terms of the story department. But when it's Freddy versus Jason, it delivers on that. It's fun to see what these two characters going at each other, and yeah, you might not be too impressed with the fact that they don't have a winner in this, but really the real winner in this is the audience that wants to see these two icons go at it, and I think you get your money's worth on that front there. If you're going in there expecting a great classic movie like the original Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street, you're going to be very disappointed by it. But if you just want to see, you know, these two iconic characters crossing over and showing up in a movie together, you do get that, and it's fun for that matter alone. If you're going in there for high storytelling, you're looking at the wrong type of film. If you want to see Robert Englund the last time he plays Freddy Krueger, and you know him beating up Jason Voorhees in one way or the other, you definitely get it here. So it's a mixed opinion, but it's fun for what it is. It's a fun film, delivers what it promises. Could have added more to it to make it something that you had to see, but for what it is, you do get your money's worth when it's all said and done. So that is Freddy vs. Jason. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Kevin Costner's Western, Open Range.
Beautiful country. Man can get lost out here. Forget there's people and things that ain't so simple as this. How long have we been riding together, Charlie?
10 years.
You know what they call that? They call it a decade.
I always hoped somebody gentle and caring might come along.
I'm not who you think I am, Sue.
My name's Denton Baxter. You know, folks around these parts don't take to free grazers.
Always been country plenty for man and beast.
Times change, Mr. Spearman.
Most time a man will tell you his bad intentions if you listen. Let yourself hear it. Reckon them cows worth being killed over?
Cows is one thing. But one man telling another man where he can go in this country is something else. The lawman just sat in that jailhouse sort of sneering, sticks in my craw.
Whole town knows there's a fight coming. They just hope it don't spill over to them.
Baxter's men bushwhacked our friend, shot him dead, shot a 16-year-old boy too, and clubbed him so hard he might not live.
I got no problem with killing boss. Never have. Men are gonna get killed here today soon. And I'm gonna kill them.
The man's got a right to protect his property and his life, and we ain't letting no rancher or his lawman take either.
I want you to know that if I don't ever see you again, that I meant everything I said to you. Appreciate everything you said to me.
You should have run when you had the chance, Spearman.
You're the one killed our friend?
That's right.
Get out of this house!
You may not know this, but there's things that gnaw at a man worse than dying.
So, fun fact, this was actually my introduction to Kevin Costner, and I'd never seen Dances with Wolves before this, but I saw the trailers for Open Range back in the day, and it made me want to see the movie really, really well. I mean, though, like I said, I talked about it a long time ago with Unforgiven. I wasn't a big Western fan, but I saw that movie, and then I saw Open Range. I think Open Range was the movie that opened my eyes to what a good Western could be like. And that, I remember seeing it and really admiring it for what it was trying to accomplish here. The story here is that you have Boss Spearman, played by Robert Duvall, and his co-hands, Charlie, Kevin Costner, and Mose, Abraham Ben Ruby. They're driving cattle along a large expanse of country when Mose ventures into a sparse village to buy a few necessities, and he's met with violent hostility from Denton Baxter, played by Michael Gambon, an affluent landowner, and his right-hand man, Poole, played by James Russo. When Mose doesn't come back, Boss and Charlie realize he's in trouble, so they plot to get him back and get revenge on those who captured him. And for Kevin Costner, this was a big return to form for him after The Postman, the last movie he directed, which was a big, big flop for him. And it was a movie that he really needed, because he had a series of films that were not that successful. Like Wyatt Earp was a Western that he did, which was not the biggest success. Waterworld was a huge flop. Message in a Bottle was a film that didn't work out well. I mean, this shows you why Kevin Costner works as well as he does as a director. And it's a really good movie. It was a film I really, really enjoyed a lot. Like, it was a movie that, like I said, it brought me the idea that, hey, Westerns can be good. And here's an example, and this was the film that made me realize maybe I should start looking at some more Westerns, because I didn't like a lot of Westerns back in the day up until I saw this particular film. I mean, it really did open my eyes to it, and it worked because of the great cast. Costner's great, Duvall's great, Annette Bening is really good in here. The action's very good. I mean, it's a good modern Western film, and I guess in a way it might actually help me get a little bit more excited for this new Western he's got coming up at the time of this recording, Horizon: An American Saga, which is like this big sweeping epic of his. Like, he's got like 4 movies planned for this, with the first 2 coming out this summer. As of right now, reviews for it have not been that great, but I mean, watching a movie like this, if he can find a way to go back to doing something like this and Dances with Wolves with Horizon, that film's probably got a chance to really work. But even if it does, this is still a film I do recommend. It's kind of an underrated Western, honestly, because I don't hear a lot of people ever talk about it as much, but it's one that I do remember liking a lot. So I do recommend this film. It's one that you should definitely check out, Open Range. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next film, and that is Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning in Uptown Girls.
There's no one like Molly.
You're my new nanny?
She's fashionable.
What do you think?
Did your pants too?
Okay.
Excitable.
That was my idea.
Adorable. This one's for you. And most of all,
You're working for me. I quit.
unforgettable.
Clean door. Are you insane?
Brittany Murphy.
Relax, girl. How bad did you screw it up?
Uptown Girls. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, August 15th.
They've been living in a white bread world as long as anyone with hot blood can, and now they're looking for downtown men. That's what they are. That's what I am. That was a lame excuse to try to use the Billy Joel Uptown Girls song for this, but I mean, how can I not with a title called Uptown Girls? But this is Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning, and Brittany Murphy is this naive daughter of a famous rock musician who, after learning her inheritance has been embezzled, finds herself employed as a nanny for a precocious hypochondriac girl played by Dakota Fanning in Manhattan. And this also has Heather Locklear and Donald Faison. This is directed by Boz Yakin, who did Remember the Titans. So talk about a radical change from Remember the Titans to a film of this caliber. But this is one of those movies, like kind of like with Just Married, a film that works mostly because of what Brittany Murphy brings to the table for it. I think she really is the strongest thing about the movie. The problem is the rest of the film just doesn't work as well as it should. I mean, the writing itself is not that great. The chemistry, I think the chemistry between her and Dakota Fanning works fine on its own. I think that's the one thing that does carry the film to a level where I would say makes it worth a watch, because I do like seeing these two characters together, but it's a story we've seen done to death so many times before, and doesn't really amount to anything. The moral of the story is that, you know, the mother should be involved with her daughter more. I mean, that type of thing. It's just like, okay, I know where this is going, and unfortunately it does go down that route, but it's a film that works just on those two levels, like with Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning, the two things that really hold the movie together. Other than that, though, the rest of the film itself is pretty lame, and it's a really lackluster film in general. It doesn't really have anything that makes it worth it in the end. It's just like, it's a film that has grown a following over the years. In fact, after Brittany Murphy died, a lot of people have come back and realized that there's something there. In fact, I'm seeing here it's described as like a 2000s classic, which I don't know. I just don't see it. It's kind of like with Sweet Home Alabama, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or 2 Weeks Notice. Those movies, just like those films, or Made in Manhattan is what I'm thinking of. Like, I think it's not as good as people make it out to be, and it just doesn't work because you've got two great leading actresses in here, but unfortunately you don't have a good script for them to work off of, and to me that's where the film kind of hurts in the long run. Not that the film is bad or anything, it's just, I mean, Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning are doing the best they can, but even they can't hold this thing together enough for me to say it's something you should check out. I mean, if you really, really want to see it, you're probably only going to find the two leading performances the strongest thing about it. But other than that, there's nothing of value to this whatsoever. So, speaking of movies that don't have much value to it, Grind. This was a film that I saw in theaters. I saw it back when it came out, and I don't remember liking it back then. But you know what? It's been over 20 years. Maybe the film's gotten better since then.
I'm in a dry spell, man.
If you mean a dry spell, you've had to been in a wet spell.
Who's making these rules, man? It's time to be discovered.
Live fast. Play hard. Get the moron out of the pool.
Die laughing. I just got violated by a lizard, man. Actually, that felt kind of good. Grind. I represent the Release Twins Foundation.
What are you talking about?
Releasing those twins.
So gross.
Look for it on DVD and video.
Or don't. You shouldn't be looking for this on DVD or video, because after 20 years of waiting to find out if this movie held up, I can tell you that nope. Didn't like it back then, don't like it now. You have, the story here is that you have Mike Vogel, Vince Valuth, Adam Brody, and Joey Kern as 4 teenage aspiring amateur skaters trying to make it in the world of pro skateboarding by pulling insane stunts in front of their pro skater idol. It says it was critically panned and flopped at the box office, and quite frankly, I can't imagine why that was the case, because let's be honest, the movie was not that great. I mean, it's a film that is kind of boring. I mean, you really have to be into skateboarding to know who half the people are in here. Even though they got half the guys, some guys from Jackass here, Aaron McGeehee, Jason Acuna, Preston Lacey's in here, Tom Green. Excuse me. Other than that, this is a film that can't even afford to get Tony Hawk in there, the most well-known skater of all time, and they can't even get him in this film. And like, that just really has that just kind of shows you what the movie is kind of like here. The movie just isn't funny. Oh, and Bam Margera's in here too. I forgot to mention that. But there is a decent cast involved in here too. I mean, it's not like these people are bad actors. I mean, I've seen Vince Valuth be funny and stuff like Rat Race. Adam Brody, he's a good actor. Jennifer Morrison's a great actress. Jason London's in here. You got Stephen Root, Christopher McDonald, Brian Posehn, Dave Foley, Randy Quaid's in here. I mean, there is talent all throughout the film. Bobcat Goldthwait. So it's not devoid of talent per se, but there's just nothing in here to make them funny. I mean, it's kind of like with Uptown Girls. You get all this talent here, and you got nothing to show for it. It's a film that just really just feels like a film that was trying to be the product of its time, and like, even people who love skateboarding would probably hate this movie. I mean, I've never heard anybody really say, "Hey, you gotta see that movie Grind." Like, it's just, there's nobody ever really says that, because the film is not that funny. It's not that funny. It's not that clever per se. It's a film that it's a PG-13 raunchy comedy at some points, where, of course, that's not going to work, and it just doesn't hold up, man. It's not funny at all. Like, I try to find some value into it. Even for nostalgic's sake, I just couldn't do it, man. This is a film that just really was just a sloppy mess from the very beginning, and just, quite frankly, now that I think about it, I don't even know why the hell I wanted to go see this when it came out. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, it just didn't work for me per se, so yeah. That's a hard pass on that one. So let's go ahead and move on to, I believe we're at our last movie here, and that is, yes, Paul Giamatti in American Splendor.
Never felt more like a sellout hack in my life.
I'm still a file clerk. I have always been a file clerk.
Could you get me some water if you ask me?
What, you got a headache?
No, but I want to avoid one.
should try believing in something bigger than yourself. It might cheer you up.
What, are we depressed?
And thus we have probably the best overall film of the entire weekend, where you chronicle the life of comic book writer Harvey Pekar, who's played here by Paul Giamatti, and the story follows him and Joyce Brabner, and it's a biography about their lives based on the 1976 to 2008 comic book series of the same name, and also the graphic novel Our Cancer Year. And Pekar is a file clerk at his local VA hospital. His interactions with his co-workers offer some relief on the monotony, and their discussions encompass everything from music to the decline of American culture to new flavors of jelly beans and life itself. At home, Harvey fills his days with reading, writing, and listening to jazz. His apartment is filled with thousands of books and LPs, and he regularly scours scours Cleveland thrift stores and garage sales for more, saving the rare joy of a 25-cent find. Can't argue with him about that, but it's at one of these junk sales that Harvey meets Robert Crumb, a greeting card artist and musical enthusiast. And this was also, Robert Crumb, by the way, also was the subject of a really great documentary by Terry Zwigoff, Crumb. But when years later, Crumb finds international success for his underground comics, the idea that comic books can be a valid art form for adults inspires Harvey to write his own brand of comic book. An admirer of naturalist writers like Theodore Dreiser, Harvey makes his American Splendor a truthful, unsentimental record of his working-class life and a warts-and-all self-portrait. First published in 1976, the comic earns Harvey cult fame throughout the 1980s and eventually leads into the sardonic Joyce Barber, a partner in the Delaware comic book store, who ends up becoming Harvey's true soulmate as they experience the bizarre byproducts of Harvey's cult celebrity stature. And it's really a good movie, and I'm really surprised. And I think these directors, well, they have done other stuff though. They've done these two directors, Sherry Springer Berman and Robert Puccini. They've done some stuff that has not been as successful as this one. This is probably their best overall film. Like they did The Nanny Diaries with Scarlett Johansson that came out a couple years later, and I can't believe that's the same directors, because it just doesn't feel like a movie made by these people that made this film. This is a great movie. Like, it combines a mix of animation, live action, with great performances by Paul Giamatti and Hope Davis. You also have Judah Freelander, who's a great comedic actor. The writing is top notch. It's got this, self-depremental comedy to it, and that's the kind of comedy I like. I mean, Conan O'Brien's made a living out of that. So is Norm Macdonald, Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, that's my type of comedy that I really love so much, and it's in this movie. And it's just a fun film to watch these performances, to watch these actors play these characters, and to watch this world come together in various ways, shapes, and forms. And it's just, even if you're not a big Harvey Pekar fan, I know I'm certainly not. I've never read most of his works. You can watch this and have no problem sticking with the storyline, because you can find a lot to really relate yourself to what's going on in this guy's life. Like, he's trying to find purpose for his life, and he finds it, and it's just an amazing film, man. It's a film that I can't recommend enough. If you haven't seen American Splendor, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. Definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet, we'll have 5 more movies to look at, including Jackie Chan and Lee Evans, the duo you've been waiting to see together on the big screen, the guy from Rush Hour and the guy from Mouse Hunt. In the comedy, The Medallion, we also have Ashton Kutcher, Tara Reid, and David Zucker's My Boss's Daughter. The most infamous comedy of the year. We talked about the strange trend that was going on in 2003 where white people were trying to act black. And here's the worst of the worst. Lisa Kudrow and Damon Wayans and Marcy X. We will take a look at that one. We will also take a look at some good movies, hopefully, with Holly Hunter and Evan Rachel Wood in 13, as well as Shia LaBeouf in The Battle of Shaker Heights. So 5 films overall to look at, and we will take a look at all of them on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.